The billionaire CEO went undercover at a hotel and discovered that the receptionist's daughter was a genius. But the real surprise was, before we begin, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. The leaf hit HarperCollins right in the middle of the forehead. It wasn't just any leaf. It was a huge, dark green one that drifted down through the air, spinning as if it had chosen its target with perfect precision. Harper stopped in the middle of the Ward Skyline Hotel lobby, her high heels sliding on the polished marble, her bag slipping off her shoulder, her hair already messy in a way that suggested the day had gone wrong at 6:15 in the morning. She looked up. The decorative palm tree, 2.5 meters of tropical arrogance in an Italian ceramic pot, gently swayed its leaves, as if it were laughing. "You," Harper pointed a finger at the plant. "You did that on purpose." A lady in a purple hat stopped in the center of the lobby, stunned by what she was seeing. "Excuse me." Harper turned to her with a professional smile. "Technical issues with the vegetation." The lady blinked 3 times and walked away, glancing back like she had witnessed something she absolutely should not have. Harper turned back to the palm tree. "Listen here, you fancy plant. I am already late. My alarm decided to take the day off. My daughter forgot to wake me up because she was too busy helping the doorman through an existential crisis at 7 in the morning. And now you attack me?" She pulled the leaf out of her hair. "What is your problem with me?" The palm tree did not answer, obviously, but Harper could swear the leaves moved again. "Fine. All right, you win this one." She put the leaf in her blazer pocket. "But I'm not forgetting this." On the other side of the lobby, a man in a blue jumpsuit with a maintenance badge watched the scene from the top of a ladder. He held a screwdriver he hadn't used in the last 20 minutes and pretended to inspect a smoke detector that worked perfectly. Ethan Ward couldn't look away. He had seen a lot in his 33 years. Board meetings with billionaires, negotiations that decided the future of entire companies, dinners with politicians, celebrities, heirs of old fortunes. But he had never seen a woman argue with a plant at 8:47 in the morning as if it were completely normal. And the strangest part? He couldn't stop smiling. "Harper." The voice cut across the lobby like a fire alarm. Marcus Turner appeared behind the reception desk like a shark that smelled blood. Wrinkled gray suit, crooked tie, expression of someone who woke up determined to ruin someone's day. "You are late. Again." Harper took a deep breath, straightened her blazer, walked to the desk with the dignity of a queen entering a battlefield. 7 minutes, Marcus. 7 minutes. The protocol also says the manager must be available to handle emergencies. She dropped her bag behind the desk. "Where were you yesterday when the reservation system crashed and I had to reassign 43 guests in 20 minutes? Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "That was different." "Of course it was." Harper turned on the computer. "Because when I fix something, it's my job. When I'm 7 minutes late, it's a federal crime." On the other side of the counter, a man in an Italian suit started tapping his fingers on the marble. Each tap more impatient than the last. "Excuse me," his voice dripped irritation. "I have a reservation, a presidential suite, and apparently it does not exist." Harper turned to him with the most professional smile she could manage. "Sir, Patterson, Theodore Patterson." He said the name as if she should recognize it. "My assistant made this reservation 3 weeks ago, and now your incompetent colleague is telling me the system can't find anything." Marcus took a step back, quietly, as if he did not want to be associated with the problem. Harper looked at the screen, typed, frowned, typed again. "Mr. Patterson, did you happen to book through the old website or through the new portal?" "I don't know. My assistant?" "Because we had a system migration 2 weeks ago." Harper continued typing. "Some reservations from the old portal were not transferred correctly. But don't worry." She clicked 3 times, checked a second screen, made an internal call that lasted exactly 12 seconds. "All set. Suite 1847, Central Park View. Minibar restocked with your preferred items from your last stay, including a special drink courtesy of the hotel and French mineral water." She handed him the key card with a smile. "Your laptop charger is already in the room. I remembered that you forgot one last time." Theodore Patterson stayed silent for a full 5 seconds. How did you know about the charger? I have a good memory for irritated faces, Mr. Patterson. The man took the card, looked at Harper, looked at Marcus, looked back at Harper. Thank you. He said the word as if it physically hurt, and he left. Marcus stepped up to the counter, already preparing his next attack. Luck. It was just, Mom. The voice came from the corner of the lobby, near the velvet chairs where guests waited for check-in. Lily Collins was sitting cross-legged, tablet on her lap, surrounded by 3 hotel employees who looked at her as if she were an ancient temple oracle. Mom, Rodrigo wants to know if he should accept the bank refinancing, or if it's better to save money for 6 more months and pay off the debt all at once. Harper sighed. Lily, you're 14. And Rodrigo is 38, but that doesn't mean he understands basic compound interest math. Rodrigo, the messenger with the gray mustache, gave a shy wave from the sofa. She's right, Mrs. Collins. I really don't understand. Up on the stairs, Ethan almost dropped the screwdriver. A 14-year-old girl was explaining financial strategy to a hotel employee. In the middle of the lobby, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. And her mother had just solved a reservation crisis in less than 2 minutes, remembering details about a guest who had probably stayed there only once. Ethan stepped down one stair, then another. He needed to see this more closely. Marcus also noticed Lily, and his face twisted into an expression that mixed disdain and envy in equal parts. Harper? He lowered his voice, but not enough. You know it's against protocol to bring children to the workplace. She's not bothering anyone, Marcus. She's giving financial advice to employees. Harper looked at her daughter, looked at Marcus, smiled, and apparently better advice than any you've ever given. The employees on the sofa laughed. Rodrigo choked on his own coffee. Even the lady with the purple hat, who still hadn't left, let out a small laugh. Marcus turned red. This is not over. He walked away, heels hitting the marble hard. Harper let out the air she didn't even realize she was holding. Her shoulders dropped. For a second, just 1 second, she looked tired. Defeated. She looked at Lily, who was now drawing charts on the tablet to explain debt amortization. What would I do without you, honey? Harper murmured to herself. Up on the stairs, Ethan heard it, and frowned, because he had just watched that woman solve an impossible crisis in record time, disarm an angry guest, and still humiliate an incompetent manager with 3 sentences. And even so, she thought the talent belonged to her daughter? The palm tree shook its leaves again, and Ethan had the strange feeling that plant knew something Harper had not discovered yet. At 9:15 in the morning, the line to speak with Lily Collins already had 5 people. None of them were under 30, and all of them looked desperate. Rodrigo was still on the sofa, tablet in hand, staring at the chart Lily had drawn as if it were a treasure map. Behind him, the 10th floor housekeeper twisted her hands. Behind her, the assistant chef from the restaurant. Behind him, the security guard from the east entrance. And behind all of them, the doorman. A 72-year-old man named Eugene, who had worked at the hotel since before Harper was born. Lily lifted her eyes from the tablet. Next. The housekeeper took a step forward, looked around as if she were about to confess a crime, and whispered, "My boyfriend wants us to live together, but he still hasn't sold the car he bought with his ex. What should I do?" Lily blinked. Once, twice. Is the car in his name or hers? His. And does he pay the loan on time? Late every month. Lily sighed like a college professor tired of explaining the basics. If he can't organize himself enough to pay for a car, how will he share rent, electricity, and groceries with you? She crossed her arms. Tell him to sell the car first. If he solves that in 60 days, you consider it. If he doesn't, you already have your answer. The housekeeper widened her eyes. Are you sure you're 14? 15 in March. My goodness. Up on the stairs, Ethan pretended to tighten a screw that had already been tight for 20 minutes. He had seen many things in life. Financial consultants with Harvard degrees, therapists with decades of experience, executive coaches who charged $500 an hour. None of them gave advice as direct as that 14-year-old girl sitting on a red velvet sofa. Next, the assistant chef stepped closer, wiping sweat from his forehead with his apron. I want to ask for a raise, but every time I get close to the head chef, I freeze. Have you listed your contributions to the restaurant? No. Make a list. 3 things you did in the last 6 months that improved the operation. When you have it, schedule a formal meeting, not a hallway conversation. Lily looked back at the tablet and stopped staring at him during service. That would make anyone nervous. The assistant chef swallowed hard. How do you know I stare at him? You're staring at me right now. He looked away so fast he almost twisted his neck. Across the lobby, Harper was typing quickly on the computer. A couple had just arrived at the counter. Yum, with that very specific sparkle and those loving looks from people who were about to get married. But they looked completely panicked. The airline lost all our luggage. The bride was on the edge of tears. All of it, including the dress I was supposed to wear tonight for the celebration dinner. My mother is flying in from Connecticut. She's going to see me in these airplane clothes, and she will never forgive me. The groom looked just as devastated. And my suit, the only suit I own, my dad gave it to me when I graduated. Harper looked at them, looked at the computer, looked at the clock. 10:43 in the morning. The dinner was at 8. 9 hours. She had 9 hours. What size is the dress? Harper asked. 6. And the suit? 42 regular. Harper grabbed the phone and dialed a number from memory. Cynthia? It's Harper from the Skyline. I know you're busy. I know. But I need a huge favor. Pause. Evening dress, size 6, elegant but not too formal. It can be blue or champagne, and a men's suit, 42, modern cut. Another pause. 3 hours, you're an angel. I owe you one. She hung up. The couple stared at her as if they had just witnessed a miracle. You'll have new clothes at 2 o'clock. Harper smiled. In the meantime, our express laundry service will press and freshen what you're wearing now, and I'll ask the restaurant to prepare a complimentary brunch in your room while you wait. The bride started crying, but this time, out of relief. How did you do that? I know a stylist who handles last-minute emergencies. She supplies clothes for TV productions when something goes wrong on set. Harper shrugged. I helped her once when she stayed here and her room had a plumbing issue. She said she owed me. Now she doesn't. The groom squeezed Harper's hand so tightly she winced. You saved our wedding. I saved the dinner. The wedding is your responsibility. They laughed. She laughed. And for a second, everything felt perfect, until Marcus showed up. He appeared behind Harper like a storm cloud on a sunny day, arms crossed, expression like he had swallowed something sour for breakfast. Harper, a word. She turned around, still smiling. Go ahead, Marcus. In private. I'm in the middle of a guest service. The couple has been taken care of. He pointed at the newlyweds walking toward the elevator. Now, my office. Harper took a deep breath. She knew that tone. It was the tone of, I'm going to find something to complain about, even if nothing is wrong. Before leaving the counter, she looked at Lily. Her daughter was explaining something to Eugene, the doorman. The 72-year-old man scratched his head, confused, while Lily gestured with endless patience. So technically, neither came first. Lily was saying, evolution doesn't work like that. What happened was a gradual mutation. At some point, a bird that wasn't exactly a chicken laid an egg with slightly different DNA, and from that egg came what we consider a chicken. So the egg came first, but it wasn't a chicken egg. It was an egg that contained a chicken. Eugene blinked. But then, who laid the egg? A proto-chicken. A what? Think of it as a prehistoric chicken. The chicken has a grandfather. Harper felt her chest tighten. Look at her. 14 years old and explaining evolutionary biology to a man who probably never finished high school. What would I do without this girl? Up on the stairs, Ethan frowned again. He had just watched Harper improvise an impossible solution in under 3 minutes. She used a contact network that probably took years to build, solved an emotional crisis with empathy and practicality, and even made the couple laugh in the middle of their panic. And still, she looked at her daughter as if all the brilliance in the room was on the other side of the lobby. Marcus cleared his throat. Harper, my office, now. She went, and as she walked down the hallway, the palm tree in the corner of the lobby gently rustled its leaves. Ethan looked at the plant. The plant, if plants could do such a thing, seemed to look back. You're seeing this too, right? Ethan whispered. The palm tree didn't answer. But a leaf fell from the highest branch and floated down until it landed on the step, right beside Ethan's foot. He picked it up, looked toward the hallway where Harper had disappeared, and decided he needed to find out what was happening in that hotel. The meeting in Marcus's office lasted exactly 11 minutes. Harper walked out with her job intact and her dignity in pieces, and the worst hadn't even started. She went back to the reception desk trying to keep her posture straight back, chin up, professional smile in place. But inside, Marcus's words still echoed. You only function because your daughter is here to think for you. It wasn't the first time she heard that. Her ex-husband used to say the same thing. With different words, of course. Softer, more polished, but the poison was the same. You can't do anything by yourself, Harper. She took a deep breath, adjusted her badge, turned on the computer. Focus on work. Just focus on work. You. The voice exploded in the lobby like thunder on a sunny day. Harper lifted her eyes. A man was crossing the lobby with furious steps. Pinstriped suit, Italian shoes, a watch that probably cost more than her car, and a look of absolute anger. Are you the front desk clerk who was here last night? Harper blinked. Sir, I leave at 6. Last night. I don't care. He slammed his hand on the counter so hard the pen holder jumped. Someone at this desk allowed my wife to enter my room. My wife. The one I've been divorcing for 8 months. The entire lobby froze. A family with 3 kids stopped on their way to the elevator. An elderly couple fell silent. Even the pianist in the corner stopped playing. Harper swallowed. Sir, if there was a protocol error, I can check. Check. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. My almost ex-wife walked into the room, saw my girlfriend's things, and now she's threatening to ruin the divorce agreement. We're talking about millions of dollars. Millions. I understand your frustration, but you understand nothing. He pointed a finger at her. I want the name of whoever allowed it. I want an explanation, and I want someone punished for this. That was when Marcus appeared. And for the first time in her life, Harper wished he had taken longer. Mr. Whitmore. Marcus stepped up beside the counter with that oily smile he saved for wealthy guests. Please accept my sincere apologies. What happened was unacceptable. Unacceptable is an understatement. I agree completely. Marcus placed a hand on his chest as if he were taking an oath. And I can assure you the person responsible will be properly punished. Harper felt her stomach drop. Marcus, I wasn't here last. Harper. He turned to her with that cruel gleam in his eyes. Mr. Whitmore is one of our most valuable guests, and clearly there was a serious protocol failure. But I didn't. You're the senior receptionist. Everything that happens at this desk is your responsibility. Marcus adjusted his tie. Mr. Whitmore, I would like to inform you that Harper Collins is officially suspended while we investigate what happened. The silence that followed was deafening. Harper opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. You can't suspend me for something I didn't do. I can, and I am. Marcus smiled. Unless you have some way to prove your innocence? I wasn't even here. But your daughter was, wasn't she? He tilted his head. From what I know, she stays around here late sometimes, giving advice, solving the staff's problems. A dramatic pause. Maybe she allowed the entry, and you're covering for her. The world stopped. Harper felt as if someone had thrown cold water in her face. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying maybe. Marcus shrugged. You depend so much on your daughter to think for you that you didn't even notice what she did. Across the lobby, Lily stood from the couch. That's a lie. Lily? No. Harper raised her hand. Stay where you are. But Mom, please. Harper's voice came out firm, but her eyes were full of tears. Lily stopped, swallowed her words, stood there with clenched fists shaking with anger. Mr. Whitmore crossed his arms, enjoying the scene. Good. At least someone here knows how to take action. Marcus practically glowed with satisfaction. Harper, you can step away from the desk now. I'll need your badge until... Plop. A large, dark green leaf drifted through the air and landed right on Harper's head, right in the center of her forehead. The entire lobby looked up. The palm tree in the corner swayed its leaves gently, almost innocently. Harper closed her eyes. Seriously, Reginald? She pulled the leaf out of her hair. Right now? Right now you decide to participate? One of the employees near the elevator choked, trying not to laugh. Marcus frowned. Harper, are you talking to a plant? I am, and it's being more helpful than you. Harper dropped the leaf on the floor. At least it has the decency to attack me directly. Silence. Even Mr. Whitmore seemed at a loss for words. Harper took off her badge, set it on the counter, and started walking toward the exit. She walked past the couch where Lily was sitting. She didn't look at her daughter. She couldn't. If she looked, she would cry, and she would not give Marcus that satisfaction. She passed the family with 3 kids, all staring at her with wide eyes. She passed the older couple, who exchanged a look that clearly meant, poor thing. And then, right in front of the revolving door, she bumped into someone. The ladder. Or rather, the man on the ladder. Ethan held her shoulders to keep them from falling. Hey, easy. Harper looked up. He was taller than she had noticed. Brown eyes, a blue maintenance jumpsuit stained with grease, and an expression that didn't match the uniform. He looked concerned. Sorry, she stepped back. I didn't see you. It's all right. He didn't release her shoulders right away. Are you okay? Harper almost laughed. Did you see what just happened over there? I did. Then you know that okay isn't exactly the word. Ethan studied her for a moment. Those eyes seemed to see past the uniform, past the badge she no longer wore, past the professional front that had collapsed. That guy is wrong, you know, he said quietly. The manager, what he said about you. Harper blinked. You heard that? Ladders have great acoustics. She let out a short laugh, not humorous, but almost real. Well, at least the palm tree agrees with you. Ethan looked at the plant in the corner of the lobby. The plant shook its leaves. She has good taste, he said. Harper frowned, confused. The palm tree? The palm tree, Ethan confirmed. Clearly she knows who the most competent person in this lobby is. And before Harper could answer, he stepped away, returned to the ladder, climbed a few steps, but not before glancing back one last time. Harper stood there in front of the revolving door, feeling something strange in her chest. Who was that maintenance guy who spoke as if he knew more than he should? And why had the palm tree shaken its leaves toward him as if it were approving? She shook her head. Doesn't matter. She had bigger problems now, like explaining to her daughter that she might not have a job on Monday. Harper's suspension lasted exactly 4 hours and 37 minutes. That was how long it took for the hotel to fall into complete chaos without her. 3 double bookings. A peanut-allergic guest who almost received the wrong dish. A mix-up with a senator's car in the parking garage. And a bride who had a full meltdown because the honeymoon suite faced the wrong building. Marcus called Harper at 3 in the afternoon. I need you to come back. Those were his only words. No apology. No admission he was wrong. Just that dry sentence and the heavy breathing of someone who had swallowed his pride with difficulty. Harper almost said no. Almost. But she had bills to pay, a daughter to support, and Manhattan rent that wasn't going to pay itself just because her manager was a fool. So she went back. Harper Collins walked through the Ward Skyline Hotel lobby as if nothing had happened. Back straight, chin lifted, eyes locked on the palm tree in the corner. Don't even think about it. She pointed a finger at Reginald as she passed. If you drop one more leaf on my head today, I swear I'll throw you in the trash. Pot and all. The palm tree gently rustled its leaves. Harper narrowed her eyes. I mean it. On the other side of the lobby, Ethan watched from the top of the ladder. He had spent the entire day thinking about that woman, the way she handled the crisis with the couple who lost their luggage, the way she stood up to Marcus even while being humiliated, the way she protected her daughter even when she was falling apart inside. And most of all, the way she had no idea she was extraordinary. Ethan stepped down one rung, then another. Today he was going to find out more. Lily was in her usual spot, the red velvet couch near the front desk. Tablet on her lap. 3 employees already lined up. Ethan approached, pretending to check an outlet on the nearby wall. Excuse me. He crouched beside the couch, screwdriver in hand. I just need to check this outlet. Circuit issue. Lily didn't even look up from the tablet. The outlet is working. I charged my tablet there 10 minutes ago. Ethan blinked. Oh. It might be intermittent. Outlets do not work on and off. Now Lily looked at him. They either work or they do not. If there were a problem, the breaker would have shut off. Silence. Ethan felt a cold sweat on the back of his neck. This girl was dangerous. You understand electrical systems? He asked, trying to change the subject. I understand logic. Lily looked back at the tablet. And yours makes no sense. Across the lobby, Harper was helping a guest who was gesturing wildly. "Sir, I understand the minibar should have sparkling water and not still water, but I can fix that in." "You do not understand." The man, short, bald, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Harper's apartment, slapped his hand on the counter. "I specified sparkling water in my reservation." "Sparkling. It is on my file." Harper typed quickly. "You are right, it is on your file, and I apologize for the mistake. I will send a full case of sparkling water to your room in 15 minutes, along with a special drink from the hotel." The man stopped. "A special drink?" "Yes." Harper offered a calm, professional smile. "It is a house selection, very well liked by our guests. If you prefer something non-alcoholic, I can arrange that instead." The man blinked. "No, I think the complimentary drink is fine." "Perfect. Anything else I can do for you?" No, I think that is all." He walked away, clearly confused that he had arrived angry and left satisfied. Ethan watched the whole scene. She did it again, turned a problem into an opportunity. Calmed an angry guest with empathy and quick action, and I bet she does not even notice. He turned to Lily. "Your mother is good at what she does." "She is amazing," Lily said without hesitation. "The problem is she does not believe it." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "Why not?" Lily shrugged. "My dad used to say she could not do anything on her own. I think she still believes that." The silence that followed was heavy. Ethan cleared his throat. "Can I ask you a question?" "You already are." "A hypothetical question." Lily finally looked up from the tablet, curious. "Okay, go ahead. If you were hiring someone for an important position, would you choose someone loyal or someone with the perfect resume?" Lily frowned. "What kind of position?" "A position where the person has access to confidential information, where you need to trust them completely." "Loyalty." Lily answered without hesitation. "You can train a resume, you cannot train character." Ethan smiled. "And what if the loyal person makes a serious mistake?" "Everyone makes mistakes. The question is whether the person takes responsibility or tries to hide it." Lily tilted her head. "Why are you asking me this? You are a maintenance technician." Ethan felt his heart speed up. "I like hypothetical questions." "These are not hypothetical questions." Lily narrowed her eyes. "These are job interview questions, like from a big company." The cold sweat on Ethan's neck turned to ice. "I read a lot," he said quickly. "Business magazines. The ones in waiting rooms." Lily kept staring at him. "Maintenance technicians read Forbes in waiting rooms? Curious ones do. Right?" That "right" was the most threatening sound Ethan had ever heard. Across the lobby, a commotion interrupted them. "Harper!" Marcus appeared behind the desk, face red, veins standing out in his neck. "What is it now?" Harper sighed. "The sparkling water guest just called the front desk saying you offered complimentary wine." "I did." "You are not authorized to offer complimentary wine." "Marcus, the hotel made a mistake. We sent still water when he requested sparkling. A $40 bottle of wine prevents a formal complaint that could cost us much more." "That is not?" "And Mr. Patterson, the one I helped yesterday? He just left a 5-star review on TripAdvisor mentioning my name. Want to see?" Marcus fell silent. Harper smiled. "May I get back to work now?" He walked away, muttering something incomprehensible. Lily looked at Ethan. "See what I told you? She's brilliant, but she thinks she only fixes things by luck." Ethan watched Harper typing again at the computer, completely unaware of her own talent. "You know what I think?" he said quietly. "What?" "That your mother is exactly the kind of person I would hire." Lily frowned. "You, a maintenance technician hiring a receptionist?" Ethan realized the mistake too late. "It is just a way of speaking. A very strange way of speaking." She looked at him again with those analytical eyes that felt like X-rays. "You are a very unusual technician. Did you know that?" Before Ethan could answer, the palm tree in the corner of the lobby shook its leaves violently. A huge leaf broke off and landed right on Marcus's head as he walked past. The manager screamed, tripped over his own feet, and nearly fell onto a luggage cart. The entire lobby stopped to look. Harper lifted her eyes from the computer. Lily lifted her eyes from the tablet. Ethan lifted his eyes from the outlet he wasn't even fixing. And all three of them at the same time looked at the palm tree. Reginald softly shook its leaves. "I swear," Harper murmured, "this plant has favorites." Lily smiled. "And Ethan, Ethan decided that hotel was the most interesting place he had ever visited in his entire billionaire life. Marcus waited exactly 2 days to attack again. This time, he didn't aim at Harper. He aimed at her daughter. It was an ordinary Tuesday, 10:20 in the morning. The ward Skyline lobby moved at its usual pace, guests coming and going, luggage being carried, the pianist playing something soft in the corner. And Lily, as always, was on the red velvet sofa. That day's line already had 4 people. First, the housekeeper from the 8th floor, wanting to know if she should confront her husband about a strange message on his phone. Then, the valet asking if it was worth taking a night technical course, even though he was already 42. Next, the night shift receptionist asking for advice on how to ask for a raise without sounding ungrateful. And last, Eugene, the 72-year-old doorman, who had returned with another existential question. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? Lily sighed. Eugene, we already talked about this last week. I know, but I kept thinking about it, and now I'm even more confused. Sound is vibration in the air. The vibration happens whether someone is listening or not. So yes, it makes a sound. What doesn't exist is the perception of the sound. Eugene scratched his head. But if no one perceives it, how do we know it happened? Because physics doesn't need a witness to work. Goodness. Eugene shook his head. You should have your own TV show. From the top of the stairs, Ethan smiled. He had spent the last 2 days watching, taking mental notes, cataloging every interaction, every solution, every moment of brilliance that went unnoticed. And he had reached a conclusion. That hotel was being wasted in the hands of an incompetent manager. Harper Collins was the most valuable employee he had seen in years. And Lily? Lily was a prodigy who deserved much more than a lobby sofa. He already knew what he was going to do. He just needed the right moment. Harper Collins. Marcus's voice cut through the lobby like a truck horn. Ethan straightened up on the stairs. Harper lifted her eyes from the computer, and every nearby employee instinctively took a step back. Marcus crossed the lobby in long strides, folder in hand, wearing the expression of someone who had finally found the ammunition he wanted. My office. Now. Harper took a deep breath. Marcus, I'm in the middle of. Now. She looked at Lily. The daughter looked back. Nah, worried. Go, Lily whispered. I'll be fine. Harper followed Marcus down the hallway, but this time she left the door slightly open, and the entire lobby could hear. I received a formal complaint, Marcus's voice echoed, from Mr. Whitmore. Mr. Whitmore, the one who accused the front desk unfairly last week? The same. He said he saw your daughter giving advice to hotel employees, professional advice, about finances, relationships, even legal issues. Silence. She's 14, Harper, 14. She cannot be giving consultations in my lobby. She's not giving consultations, she's talking. She's creating a circus, employees lining up to talk to a child instead of working. Employees talk to her on their breaks. No one is failing to work. I don't care. Marcus slammed something on the desk. Her presence here is a distraction, irresponsible, and frankly, it's shameful. The entire lobby stopped breathing. Harper felt her blood turn cold. What did you say? You heard me. It's shameful for an adult employee to depend on a child to function. You bring her here every day because you can't handle things on your own. Everyone knows that. On the sofa, Lily stood up. The employees around exchanged nervous looks. Eugene took a step toward Marcus's office, but the housekeeper held his arm. Wait, she whispered. Look at the girl. Lily walked to the open door, pushed it, and stepped inside. Excuse me. Marcus turned, surprised. This is a private conversation, young lady. Leave. No. The word echoed in the small room like thunder. Harper widened her eyes. Lily, you don't have to. Yes, I do, Mom. Lily looked directly at Marcus. Because I'm tired of hearing you say nonsense. The manager turned red. What did you say? You said my mother depends on me to function. That it's shameful, that she can't handle things alone. Lily crossed her arms. Do you want to know what's really shameful? Silence. Shameful is a manager who can't solve a double booking crisis, who disappears every time an important guest complains, who is never available when the system crashes. Lily took a step forward. My mother handled 43 relocations in 20 minutes last week. Do you remember that? Because I do. I was here. Marcus opened his mouth. Lily didn't let him speak. She memorized the preferences of more than 200 frequent guests. She knows the names of Mr. Jal Patterson's children. She remembers that the lady in 1203 is allergic to lavender and needs unscented soap. She turned an angry man into a satisfied guest with 3 sentences and a bottle of wine. Harper felt her eyes sting. Lily? And you? Lily looked at Marcus with cold disdain. What have you done this week, besides trying to suspend the employee who holds this entire hotel on her shoulders? Outside the office, the lobby had gone completely silent. Employees watched through the open door, stunned. Guests had stopped walking. Even the pianist had stopped playing. Marcus turned red, then white, then red again. You can't talk to me like that. I just did, Lily replied calmly. And unlike you, I have arguments. At the top of the stairs, Ethan started walking down, step by step, slowly, without taking his eyes off the scene. Marcus turned to Harper, desperate. Are you going to let your daughter disrespect me like this? Harper looked at Lily, then at Marcus, then at her daughter again. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel ashamed. She felt proud. She didn't disrespect you, Marcus, Harper said softly. She just told the truth, and the truth doesn't need permission. Marcus shook with anger. This is not going to end like this. You two are going to... Going to what? The voice came from the doorway. Everyone turned. Ethan was standing there, blue coveralls, a screwdriver in his pocket, and an expression that did not match a maintenance uniform at all. Marcus frowned. Who are you? Ethan didn't answer. He just looked at Harper, then at Lily, then at Marcus, and smiled. I think we need to talk. The palm tree in the lobby rustled its leaves, and for the first time since she started working there, Harper felt something huge was about to happen. The maintenance tech pulled the screwdriver from his pocket and set it on Marcus's desk. Then he smiled and said 6 words that changed everything. I'm Ethan Ward, owner of this hotel. The silence that followed was so complete you could hear the wall clock ticking. Marcus turned white, not pale, white, like paper, like milk, like someone who had just seen a ghost wearing blue coveralls. What? Ward, Ethan repeated calmly, as in Ward Skyline Hotels, the entire chain, 15 properties, including this one. Harper felt her knees weaken. She looked at Ethan, at the uniform, at the maintenance badge on his chest, at the face she had seen watching from the top of the stairs for days. The tech, the odd tech who asked strange questions, the tech who said the palm tree had good taste. The tech was the owner. The owner. I'm going to faint, Harper whispered. Please don't. Ethan said gently. I still need you conscious for the good part. Marcus stumbled back, hitting his own chair. Mr. Ward, I didn't know. If I had known you were, would you have treated me differently? Ethan tilted his head. That's exactly why I didn't tell you. He turned toward the open doorway, where at least 15 employees and a dozen guests watched with their mouths open. Actually, let's do this properly. Ethan walked out of the office. Everyone to the lobby. I have a few announcements. Marcus rushed after him. Mr. Ward, please, I can explain. You'll have the chance. The manager swallowed hard. 2 minutes later, the lobby of the Ward Skyline Hotel was packed. Employees from every shift, curious guests. Even the restaurant's head chef had stepped out of the kitchen, apron still tied around his waist. Ethan stood in the center of the lobby, next to the palm tree. Reginald rustled his leaves gently as if approving the moment. My name is Ethan Ward, he began, voice clear and steady. I am the CEO and heir of the Ward Skyline Hotels. For the last 4 days, I have been working here disguised as a maintenance technician. Murmurs spread through the crowd. I wanted to see how this hotel really works, without flattery, without performance, and what I saw. He paused, was eye-opening. Marcus took a step forward, wearing a shaky smile. Mr. Ward, I'm sure you saw a dedicated team, and I saw you trying to suspend an employee for a mistake she didn't make. Ethan cut in. I saw you humiliating that same employee in front of guests and coworkers. I heard you say she depends on her daughter to think, and I saw you ignore again and again the brilliant work she does every single day. The lobby went completely silent. Marcus started to sweat. That was a misunderstanding. It wasn't. Ethan turned to Harper, who was leaning against the front desk, still in shock. Harper Collins solved more crises in 4 days than most managers solve in a month. She memorized the preferences of hundreds of guests. She built a network of contacts that saves impossible emergencies. She treats every person who walks into this hotel with dignity and empathy. Harper felt her face heat up. This is not happening. This cannot be happening. And you, Mr. Turner? Ethan faced Marcus. In those same 4 days, I saw you avoiding difficult guests, handing off problems that were your responsibility, and using your position to intimidate staff instead of supporting them. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound came out. You're fired, Ethan said simply. Human Resources will contact you about the procedures. You can collect your belongings now. A wave of murmurs filled the lobby. Employees exchanged shocked looks, and some of them barely hid their satisfaction. Marcus stood frozen for 3 full seconds, as if he couldn't process the words. Then, without saying anything, he walked toward his office. The palm tree dropped a leaf right onto his head as he passed. Harper covered her mouth so she wouldn't laugh. But I'm not finished, Ethan continued, pulling everyone's attention back. There's one more thing. He looked at Lily, who was standing near the velvet sofa, her eyes wide. Lily Collins. The girl blinked. Me? You. Ethan smiled. These past weeks, I've watched you give advice to this hotel's staff about finances, about relationships, about career decisions, and even about philosophy. Lily looked at her mother, confused. You're 14 years old, and you think more clearly than most adults I know. That's rare, and it needs to be nurtured. Ethan took an envelope from the pocket of his coveralls. I'm offering you a full scholarship to the Davidson Program for Young Scholars. It includes mentoring, access to university resources, and preparation for early admission to any college in the country. Lily's eyes widened. What? If you accept, of course, the decision is yours and your mother's. Harper felt tears coming. No, not now. Hold it, Harper. Hold it. Lily looked at the envelope, at Ethan, at her mother. Mom, Harper tried to speak, but no sound came out. All she managed was a nod. Lily took the envelope with trembling hands. The lobby erupted in applause. Employees clapped. Guests smiled. Eugene, the doorman, blew his nose into a tissue, and Harper stood there trying to process everything. The technician was the owner. The owner saw everything. The owner fired Marcus. The owner gave Lily a scholarship. And she had spent the last 4 days arguing with a plant in front of him. She looked at Reginald. The palm tree swayed its leaves. Harper walked toward it discreetly, pretending to adjust a throw pillow on the nearby sofa. See that? She whispered to the plant. Take that. Who's the crazy one now? Reginald didn't answer. But a leaf loosened and landed gently on Harper's shoulder, almost like a pat on the back. Across the lobby, Ethan watched and smiled. But Harper didn't see it. She was too busy trying to understand how her life had turned upside down in less than a week, and trying to ignore the little voice in her mind saying, "You don't deserve any of this." It was all because of Lily. It has always been because of Lily. The day Lily went in for the tests was the day the hotel decided to fall apart. And Harper was completely alone. Lily left at 7 in the morning, the Davidson program envelope in her backpack, wearing the button-down shirt Harper had ironed 3 times to get every wrinkle out. You're going to do great, Harper said at the door, fixing her daughter's collar for the 10th time. Mom, these are logic and reasoning tests. It's not a beauty contest. It doesn't matter. You're going to do great looking well-dressed. Lily rolled her eyes but smiled. Are you going to be okay without me? Of course I will. Harper waved as if the question were ridiculous. I worked in that hotel for 6 years before you started sitting in the lobby. I know how to manage. Okay. Lily didn't sound convinced. If you need anything, send me a message. Go, you'll miss the train. Lily left, and exactly 43 minutes later, the chaos began. First, it was the reservation system. It simply froze. No warning, no explanation. Blue screen on every computer at the front desk. No. Harper tapped the keyboard as if that would fix anything. Not today. Please, not today. The screen stayed blue. Behind her, a line of 12 guests began to form. Excuse me? A woman in dark sunglasses and a fur coat tapped her nails on the counter. I have a flight in 3 hours and I need my checkout now. One moment, ma'am. I do not have a moment. I have a private jet waiting. Harper took a deep breath. All right. System down. Huge line. No Lily. No manager. No one. She looked at the palm tree in the corner of the lobby. Reginald gently shook his leaves. Do not even think about dropping anything on my head right now. Harper pointed at him. I am serious. The woman in the fur coat frowned. Are you talking to a plant? I am having a team meeting. Harper turned back with a professional smile. Give me 2 minutes. She picked up the phone, dialed a number, and started talking while typing with her other hand. Roberto, the system is down. I need you to restart the main server. Yes, I know it takes 15 minutes. I will handle things here. She hung up, looked at the line, took a deep breath, and began. Lady in the fur coat, room 1502, right? I remember your check-in. Payment already processed in advance, no minibar charges. I will do your checkout manually and send the receipt to your email in 10 minutes. You may go. The woman blinked. How do you know my room number? Good memory. Harper was already looking at the next person. Sir with the blue tie, issue with your reservation? My room faces the building next door. I asked for a park view. Available room with park view, 1847. I will make the change now and send someone to get your luggage in 15 minutes. Next. Across the lobby, Ethan watched. He had arrived 20 minutes earlier, without the jumpsuit this time. Dark suit, coffee in hand, posture of someone who was there just to check how things were going. But he could not take his eyes off Harper. She was handling everything, alone, without the system, without help, without Lily. And she seemed completely unaware of what she was doing. Honeymoon couple, room 2201. Harper continued, working through the line like a conductor. Did the complimentary sparkling wine arrive yesterday? No? I will take care of it. Lady with the small dog, I already requested an extra mat for your room. It arrives in 10 minutes. Sir with the hat, your car was taken to the wrong parking area, but the valet is bringing it back. One by one, guests were taken care of. One by one, every problem was solved, and Harper did not even stop to breathe. Ethan walked quietly over to Eugene, the doorman, who was watching with a proud smile. Has she always been like this? Eugene turned, surprised to see the owner of the hotel beside him. Mr. Ward, I did not see. You can call me Ethan. He waved a hand. And you can answer the question. Eugene looked at Harper, who was now explaining to an Italian guest, in improvised Italian, where the best pizza place in the neighborhood was. Always, the doorman said, since she started here 6 years ago. Lily is brilliant, of course. But Harper, he shook his head. Harper is the heart of this hotel. She just does not know it. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. Why does she not know? Because no one ever told her. Eugene sighed. Her ex-husband spent years saying she was not good enough. The former manager, the one you dismissed, did the same thing. After a while, a person starts to believe it. Ethan stayed quiet. Across the lobby, Harper finally finished helping the last guest. She leaned on the counter, exhausted. Then she looked at Reginald. You. She walked toward the palm tree. You were watching me this whole time, weren't you? With those judgmental leaves of yours. The palm tree swayed gently. I saw you moving. Do not pretend you were not commenting with the other plants. A leaf fell and landed on Harper's shoulder. Oh, now you want to make peace? She took the leaf and placed it in her blazer pocket. All right, but only because I am too tired to argue. Ethan smiled. He had never met anyone like Harper Collins. Brilliant without noticing, funny without trying, and completely blind to her own worth. He was going to change that, even if it was the last thing he did. Harper's phone rang. She answered on the first ring. Lily, how did it go? Pause. You passed all the tests? Harper's voice lifted a whole octave. All of them? Even the behavioral analysis one you said was a trick? Another pause. Sweetheart, I am so proud of you. Harper felt her eyes sting. I knew it. I always knew you were amazing. She hung up and stood there in the middle of the lobby, smiling and crying at the same time. I knew she was amazing. She, not me. Harper looked around, at the hotel she had just saved all by herself, at the line she had handled with no system, no help, no one. And she thought luck. It was just luck. Across the lobby, Ethan shook his head. He was going to need much more than words to make that woman see the truth. But he had time. And apparently, a palm tree on his side. The acceptance letter arrived on a gray Tuesday. Harper read it 3 times to be sure it was real. And then she realized she was about to lose the one person who made her feel intelligent. Mom, are you crying? No. Harper sniffed, wiping her face with the sleeve of her blazer. It's allergies. Allergies to good news? Exactly. Rare condition, very serious. Lily laughed and hugged her mother. The program started in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 14 days, 336 hours until her daughter would move into a college dorm on the other side of the state. Harper held Lily tightly, trying to memorize that moment. The strawberry shampoo her daughter had used since she was 8. The way she fit perfectly beneath Harper's chin. The feeling of having someone there, someone who understood, someone who made everything seem less frightening. "Mom," Lily pulled back gently. "You're crushing me." "Sorry," Harper let go, but not completely. I'm very proud of you." "I know, and very happy. I know, and completely terrified." Lily smiled, but her eyes were serious. "Mom, you're going to be okay." "Of course I will." Harper forced a smile. "I always am." But they both knew it wasn't true. The next days were a blur of preparations, shopping for supplies, paperwork, calls with the program coordinators, suitcases being packed and unpacked and packed again because Lily insisted on bringing too many books, and Harper worked. Worked more than ever. Actually, arrived early, left late, solved problems that weren't even hers. Anything to avoid thinking about the empty apartment waiting for her in 2 weeks. It was Thursday, 4 days before the move, when Ethan found her in the lobby at 7 in the evening. The hotel was almost empty. Only a few guests at the bar, the muffled sound of the pianist playing something melancholy, and Harper standing in front of the palm tree with cold coffee in her hand. "Hey." Ethan walked toward her slowly. "You're still here?" Harper turned, surprised. "Oh, hi." She looked at her watch. "Wow, I lost track of time." "You lost 3 hours, according to the night shift receptionist." Harper shrugged. "There were things to fix." "Harper?" Ethan stopped beside her. "I know Lily leaves on Sunday." Harper's body tensed. "Yes, she does. And I know you're avoiding going home." "I'm not avoiding anything. I'm working." At 7 in the evening on a Thursday, staring at a palm tree? Harper looked at Reginald. The palm tree gently swayed its leaves as if agreeing with Ethan. "Traitor," she muttered to the plant. Ethan smiled. "Do you want to talk?" "No." "Want company?" "Also no." "Want hot coffee instead of that one that looks like it died 2 hours ago?" Harper looked at her hand. The coffee was so cold it had formed a thin film on top. "Maybe," she admitted. 5 minutes later, they were sitting in the lobby armchairs, fresh coffees in hand, a comfortable silence between them. Harper was the first to break it. "I don't know what to do." Her voice came out small. "Without her." Ethan waited. "She's always been there, you know, since she was a baby. Even when the marriage fell apart. Even when I lost everything. Even when I thought I wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning." Harper looked down at her coffee. "She was my reason to keep going. My compass. My backup brain." "Harper, I know it sounds dramatic." She let out a humorless laugh. "But it's true. Every time I didn't know what to do, I looked at her. And somehow, the answer appeared." "Are you sure it was her giving you the answer?" Ethan asked gently. "Or was it you thinking more clearly because someone you trusted was nearby?" Harper frowned. "What?" "I watched you handle an entire crisis alone last week. System down, long line, no help." Ethan leaned forward. "Lily wasn't here, and you were brilliant. It was luck. It wasn't luck. It was instinct." "Instinct is another word for natural talent." Harper shook her head. "You don't understand. Then explain it to me." She stayed quiet for a long moment. "My ex-husband," she began slowly. "He used to say I was good at pretending, that I looked competent, but inside I was a mess, that without someone guiding me, I would fall apart." Ethan felt anger rise in his chest. He was wrong. He knew me for 10 years. "And I watched you every day pretending to be a maintenance technician." Ethan smiled. "Believe me, I saw more honesty in those days than he probably saw during the entire wedding." Harper looked at him. Something trembled in her chest. But before she could answer, a huge leaf floated down through the air and landed right on Harper's lap. They both looked up. Reginald shook its leaves dramatically. Harper picked up the leaf and stared at the palm tree. "Really? Now? In the middle of a serious conversation?" The plant did not answer. "You're a jealous green genius, you know that?" Harper put the leaf in her pocket. "You can't stand seeing me getting attention." Ethan laughed. "Do you always talk to that plant?" "Only when it deserves a scolding." Harper stood up, avoiding his eyes. "I need to go. Lily must be waiting." "Harper?" She stopped. "You're going to be fine," Ethan said. "With or without her." You're stronger than you think." Harper didn't answer. She just nodded and walked toward the door. But before leaving, she stopped beside Reginald. "Even you will miss her, right?" she whispered to the palm tree. The way she explained things, the calm she brought. The palm tree gently shook its leaves. "Yes," Harper sighed. "Me too." And she left. Across the lobby, Ethan stood there, coffee in hand, looking at the empty space where Harper had been. He was going to make that woman believe in herself, even if it took the rest of the year. Lily had been gone for exactly 3 days when the universe decided to test Harper Collins. And the test was not gentle. It all started at 8:12 in the morning. Harper had barely finished placing her bag behind the counter when the first disaster exploded. "What do you mean my room was given to someone else?" The voice came from a man in a navy suit, gray hair, and an expression that clearly said, "I sue hotels for fun." Harper looked at the computer. Duplicate reservation. The system had assigned the same room to 2 different guests. And the second guest was already inside, probably sleeping peacefully, without knowing that the bed legally belonged to someone else. "Sir, I apologize for the inconvenience." "Inconvenience?" The man hid his hand on the counter. "I am Victor Ashford, from Ashford & Associates. I have a board meeting at 10 in the morning and my extra suit is inside that room." Harper took a deep breath. "Okay, problem 1. You can do this." "Mr. Ashford, I'll fix this now. Give me 3 minutes." She picked up the phone, called the floor, and in less than 2 minutes had convinced the guest in the room to move to a superior suite at no extra cost. In another 30 seconds, she had a messenger on the way to pick up Mr. Ashford's suit. "Your suit will be in express laundry in 10 minutes, pressed and ready. And as an apology, the hotel offers 1 additional night free on your next stay." Mr. Ashford blinked. "You solved everything?" "I did." Harper smiled. "Anything else?" He opened his mouth, closed it, looked genuinely confused. "No, thank you," and he left. Harper let out her breath. 1. "How many left?" The answer came in the form of a shout from the restaurant. "What do you mean we're out of salmon?" Harper ran. She literally ran. Crossed the lobby at full speed, avoided a luggage cart, jumped over an abandoned suitcase, and almost knocked over a flower vase. "Excuse me," she shouted as she passed the palm tree. "Reginald, hold things together." The palm tree shook its leaves as if saying, "Go, warrior." The restaurant was in chaos. A VIP guest, a woman in a red dress and jewelry that probably cost more than Harper's apartment, was standing in the middle of the dining room, furiously gesturing at the assistant chef. "I booked this table 2 weeks ago specifically because you promised wild Alaskan salmon. And now you tell me it's gone?" The assistant chef, the same one who had asked Lily for advice about how to ask for a raise, looked pale with fear. "Ma'am, there was a problem with the supplier." "I don't want to hear about problems. I want salmon." Harper approached with the calm of a hostage negotiator. "Ma'am, good morning. I'm Harper Collins from reception. May I help?" The woman turned. "Unless you have a salmon hidden in your pocket, no." "I don't," Harper smiled. "But I know a restaurant 3 blocks from here that serves the best wild salmon in the city. The chef is a friend of ours and can prepare a special dish in 20 minutes. I can ask them to deliver it here, on our hotel plate, as if it were from our menu. You won't pay the difference." The woman narrowed her eyes. "You can do that?" "I can and I will." Harper was already picking up the phone. "Giovanni, it's Harper. I need a huge favor." 7 minutes later, the woman in red was seated, wine glass in hand, waiting for her salmon with a satisfied smile. The assistant chef looked at Harper as if she were a saint. "How did you do that?" "I have friends in the right places." Harper adjusted her blazer. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I heard something about the key system freezing." Back in the lobby, she found a line of 5 angry guests because their key cards weren't working. Harper fixed everything in 12 minutes, restarted the backup system, reprogrammed the cards manually, and still found time to calm a crying child who had lost her teddy bear on the 3rd floor. The teddy bear was found under a bed in 6 minutes. The child hugged Harper like she was the hero of a movie. And Harper? Harper was exhausted. She leaned on the counter, taking a deep breath when she felt someone walk up. "You are amazing, you know that?" Ethan's voice. She turned. He was there, leaning against a column, arms crossed, watching her with an expression Harper couldn't read. "I saw everything," he said. the double booking, the salmon, the key cards, the teddy bear. It was just work. It was brilliance. Ethan stepped closer. You handled 4 crises in less than 2 hours, with no help, no Lily, no one. Harper felt her face warm. I just did what I had to do. Exactly. Ethan smiled, and it was outstanding. She didn't answer, because the truth was she didn't feel outstanding. She felt tired, worn out, like she was running on a treadmill that would never stop. I almost lost Mr. Ashford, she whispered. If I had been 1 minute later, but you weren't late. And the salmon? I was lucky, I know, Giovanni. If I didn't know him. But you do, because you spent years building those connections. Harper shook her head. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Ethan took another step. You are the most competent person I've ever met, and the only one who can't see it. Harper's eyes burned. She looked away, trying to hide the tears, and saw Reginald. The palm tree gently rustled its leaves. One leaf fell and floated down, landing at Harper's feet. Even you agree with him, don't you? She murmured to the plant. The palm tree rustled again. Harper laughed. A tired, teary, but genuine laugh. Ethan watched this extraordinary woman talk to a plant in the middle of a 5-star hotel lobby. And he knew, at that exact moment, that he was completely in love. The man who wanted to buy the hotel arrived in a black limousine at 10 in the morning. He looked at the lobby the way someone evaluates cattle at an auction, and when his eyes stopped on Harper, she knew it wasn't a good sign. Richard Blackwell. The man offered his hand to Ethan with a shark-like smile. Blackwell Hospitality Group. A pleasure to finally meet the ward heir in person. Ethan shook his hand with cold politeness. Mr. Blackwell, I received your offer. And I hope you liked the numbers. Blackwell adjusted his silk tie. $3 billion for the entire chain. It's a generous offer. Harper, behind the counter, felt her stomach twist. $3 billion. Sale. Entire chain. She looked at Ethan, trying to read something on his face, but he had his CEO expression on. Closed. Professional. Impossible to interpret. Let's talk in my office, Ethan said, gesturing toward the hallway. This way. The 2 men left. Harper stayed there, heart racing, trying not to panic. He won't sell. He won't sell. He said he loved this hotel. But her ex-husband's voice echoed in her head. You always believe what you want to believe, Harper. Never what's real. She shook her head, trying to push the thought away. Work. Focus on work. But her attention kept drifting back to the hallway where Ethan had disappeared. Half an hour later, Harper couldn't take it anymore. She made up an excuse. I need to check a problem on the 3rd floor, and walked casually toward Ethan's office. The door was slightly open. The voices inside were clear. The current staff is too large. Blackwell's voice. At least 30% cuts. Starting with the front desk. Harper froze. The front desk is the heart of the hotel. Ethan's voice, firm. The front desk is an operational cost. Blackwell laughed. That woman at the counter, for example, the one with brown hair, how much do you pay her? Silence. Harper felt her legs shaking. Harper Collins, Ethan said her name. Yes, her. She's just a friendly face, Ward. Anyone with a smile and a script can do what she does. In my chain, I'd replace her with an automated system in a week. Harper's blood ran cold. A friendly face. Anyone can do it. Automated system. She waited for Ethan's answer, and waited, and waited. I understand your perspective, Ethan finally said. Harper didn't hear the rest. She stepped away from the door, her heart pounding in her chest, her vision blurry. I understand your perspective. He didn't disagree. He didn't defend. He understood the perspective that she was replaceable. Harper crossed the lobby in quick steps, trying not to cry. She walked past the front desk without looking at anyone. Past the guests waiting for assistance, and went straight to the palm tree in the corner. Reginald, she whispered, her voice unsteady. I need a minute. The palm tree gently swayed its leaves. Harper hid behind the huge pot, leaning against the wall, taking deep breaths. Okay, here we go. She looked at the plant. You're my therapist now. Pretend you're listening. Silence. I know you don't talk, that's the point. Therapists shouldn't talk too much. Harper sniffled. So, here's the problem. I thought he saw me as, I don't know, someone special, someone who mattered. But apparently I'm just a friendly face that any automated system could replace. The palm tree didn't answer. And the worst part? Harper went on, her voice breaking. The worst part is that maybe he's right. Maybe I really am nothing more than that. Maybe my ex-husband was right all along. A leaf dropped and landed on Harper's shoulder. She let out a humorless laugh. "Thanks for the support, Reginald. Very helpful." "Harper?" Ethan's voice came from behind her. Harper turned so fast she almost knocked the pot over. "Ethan, I was just checking the plant. It looked dry." "It looked dry? Very dry, critically dry. I was worried." Ethan looked at the palm tree. The leaves were green and shiny, clearly well hydrated. "Harper? I need to get back to the desk." She tried to walk past him. Ethan gently held her arm. "You heard the conversation?" It wasn't a question. Harper stopped. "I heard enough." "You heard Blackwell being awful, and you heard me say I understood his perspective." "Exactly. You didn't hear the rest." Harper looked at him. "What rest?" "The part where I said I understood his perspective, but that he was completely wrong." Ethan released her arm, but didn't step back. "The part where I said HarperCollins is worth more to this hotel than any automated system could ever offer. The part where I turned down his offer." Harper blinked. "You turned it down?" $3 billion. I turned it down." Ethan smiled. "Because this hotel is not for sale, and neither are the people who work here." Harper's heart raced, but he said a lot of nonsense, and I let him talk because I wanted to see what kind of person he was. Ethan stepped closer. "Now I know, and he will never set foot in this hotel again." Harper felt tears returning, but this time they weren't sad. "I thought you agreed with him." Her voice came out small. "That I was just replaceable." "Harper," Ethan held her face with both hands. "You're many things. Brilliant, stubborn, funny, completely out of your mind for talking to plants." He smiled. "But replaceable? Never." A leaf from Reginald chose that exact moment to fall and landed right on Ethan's head. Harper laughed through her tears. "I think Reginald approves." Ethan removed the leaf from his hair, looking at the palm tree with mock indignation. "Thank you for the vote of confidence, Reginald." The palm tree swayed its leaves, and Harper, for the first time in a long time, felt that maybe, just maybe, she was enough. Ethan called everyone to the lobby at 4 p.m. Employees, guests, even the pianist stopped playing. And Harper had no idea she was about to hear a truth that had taken 32 years to arrive. "What's happening?" she whispered to Eugene, who was standing beside her near the desk. The doorman smiled mysteriously. "You'll see." "Eugene, what do you know?" "Nothing." "You're smiling." "I always smile." "You never smile. You've had a funeral face since 1987. Eugene shrugged, still smiling. Harper looked around. The lobby was packed. Housekeepers, bellhops, night shift receptionists who shouldn't even be there. The restaurant's chef, the valet, even the lady with the purple hat, who apparently lived at the hotel, sat in an armchair watching everything with curiosity. And in the center of it all, next to Reginald, stood Ethan. He waited for silence. Then he began. "I want to thank all of you for being here." His voice carried through the lobby. "Some of you already know we received an offer to buy the hotel, $3 billion for the entire chain." Murmurs spread through the crowd. "I turned it down." The murmurs turned into sighs of relief. "But that isn't the only reason I called you here." Ethan looked around. "I called because over the past few weeks, while I worked undercover in this hotel, I learned something important." Harper felt her heart speed up. "I learned that numbers do not tell the whole story, that spreadsheets do not measure dedication, and that the real value of a place is in the people who make it work." Ethan turned toward Harper, and she wished she could disappear. "HarperCollins. No, please don't do this. When I met you, I was pretending to be a maintenance technician. You were arguing with a palm tree." A few laughs spread through the lobby. Harper felt her face burn. "I watched you solve a reservation crisis in 2 minutes. I saw you save a young couple's wedding with one phone call. I saw you stand up to an unfair manager, survive an absurd suspension, and come back to work as if nothing had happened." Ethan took a step toward her. "And in all those moments, you thought it was luck, or instinct, or because of your daughter." Harper swallowed. "But it wasn't." Ethan turned to the staff. "I would like to ask all of you to share something with me. And with her." Eugene was the first to raise his hand. "I will start." The doorman straightened up. 4 years ago, my wife got sick. I needed money for medicine that our insurance did not cover. I didn't tell anyone." Harper frowned. But Harper noticed something was wrong. She pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay. When I told her, she disappeared for half an hour. Eugene looked at Harper. She came back with an envelope. Inside were the names of 3 pharmaceutical assistance programs, a contact in HR to renegotiate my insurance, and $200 from her own pocket. Harper's eyes widened. Eugene, Lily was 10 years old at the time. Eugene continued. She did not even come to the hotel yet. Silence. The housekeeper from the 8th floor raised her hand. May I speak? Ethan nodded. 3 years ago, I was in a terrible relationship. My boyfriend controlled everything, my money, my friends, my schedule. She took a breath. Harper noticed I was always tense. She invited me for coffee on a day off. She didn't ask anything, she just listened, and at the end, she told me something I never forgot. The housekeeper looked directly at Harper. She said, "You deserve someone who makes you feel bigger, not smaller." And she gave me the card of an attorney who specialized in domestic cases, free of charge, because Harper knew her from somewhere. Harper felt tears rising. I didn't remember that. I remember. The housekeeper smiled. Every day. The assistant chef raised his hand. 2 years ago, I wanted to quit the kitchen. I thought I wasn't good enough. Harper found me crying in the locker room. She sat beside me and said she once tasted a sauce I made, and that it was the best sauce she had ever had. He laughed. She was probably exaggerating, but it worked. I stayed. I wasn't exaggerating, Harper sniffed. That sauce was amazing. More hands went up. The valet told how Harper helped him study for his GED. The night shift receptionist shared how Harper covered her shifts for 2 months when her mother was hospitalized. Even the lady with the purple hat stood up. I do not work here, she said, but I have lived in this hotel for 8 years. And every morning this young woman asks me how I slept, if I need anything, and if my imaginary cat is doing well. Harper let out a wet laugh. Mr. Whiskers. He is doing very well, thank you for asking. The lobby laughed, and Harper cried. She cried for real. Tears running down her face, shoulders shaking, years of doubt and insecurity finally melting away. Ethan stepped closer to her. Harper Collins, he said softly. You are the brilliant mind behind the soul of this hotel. You always have been, before Lily, before me, before anyone noticed. She looked at him through her tears. I don't know what to say. You do not need to say anything. Ethan smiled. You just need to finally believe it. Plop. A huge leaf from Reginald drifted down through the air and landed right on top of Harper's head. The entire lobby burst into laughter. Harper removed the leaf, glaring at the palm tree with fake outrage. Really, Reginald? During my moment? The palm tree shook its leaves. Eugene shouted from the back, he is celebrating. He is being inconvenient. Harper slipped the leaf into her pocket, as always. Ethan laughed. Then without warning he took Harper's hand. The lobby fell silent. I have one more thing to say. Ethan looked into her eyes. But it can wait until dinner, if you accept. Harper blinked. Dinner? With me. Today, 8 o'clock. Her heart raced. Is this a date? It is a date. The staff began to applaud. The lady in the purple hat shouted, Finally! And Harper, for the first time in 32 years, felt that maybe, just maybe, she deserved all of it. All right, she said, smiling through her tears. But if Reginald shows up at the restaurant, I am leaving. Ethan laughed. Deal. At 8 o'clock that same night, Harper Collins was standing in front of the restaurant trying to remember how to breathe. First date. A real first date. With the man who had just called her a brilliant mind in front of 50 people. She had no idea the night was about to get even more unbelievable. The restaurant was Italian, quiet, candles on the tables, linen cloths, and a waiter who spoke so softly he sounded like he was sharing state secrets. Harper adjusted her dress for the 10th time. She had changed clothes 3 times before leaving. The first dress was too formal. The second was too casual. The third was the only one left in the closet after she threw the other 2 on the bed in frustration. You look beautiful. Ethan's voice came from behind her. Harper turned. He was standing there. Dark suit, no tie, a smile that made her stomach flip. You got here before me, she said. I was nervous. I arrived 20 minutes ago. You? Nervous? Very, Harper laughed. You're a billionaire CEO. And you're the woman who talks to plants and solves impossible crises before coffee. Ethan offered his arm. Clearly, you're more intimidating. They went inside. The table was in the corner, quiet, with a window showing the Manhattan lights glowing outside. Harper sat down and immediately dropped her napkin, then bumped her elbow into the water glass, then almost knocked the menu into the candle. "I promise I'm not usually like this," she said, her face burning. "You are exactly like this." Ethan smiled. "I watched you for a few days, remember?" "From the ladder." "From the ladder," he confirmed. "You dropped the pen holder twice on the first day, tripped on the lobby rug at least 3 times, and almost set your blazer on fire when you got too close to the decorative candle at the front desk." Harper covered her face with her hands. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because it was exactly in that moment when I realized I was falling in love." Harper lowered her hands. "What?" "When you almost set your blazer on fire." Ethan tilted his head. "You put the flame out with a cup of water, scolded the candle out loud, and 2 seconds later were smiling at a guest like nothing happened." He paused, and I thought, this woman is extraordinary. Harper didn't know what to say. Thankfully, the waiter arrived to save her. "Good evening. May I take your order?" "Lobster risotto for her," Ethan said, "and mushroom risotto for me." Harper frowned. "How do you know I like lobster risotto? You told the housekeeper on the 8th floor 2 weeks ago that it was your favorite dish." "You heard that? Staircases have great acoustics." Harper shook her head, laughing. "You are a very efficient observer." "I prefer dedicated observer." Dinner continued. They talked about everything and nothing. About his childhood, absent parents, strict grandfather, an inheritance that felt heavier than valuable. About hers. The wrong marriage, a difficult divorce, years building a life just for herself and Lily. About fears, dreams, regrets. For the first time in years, she felt light. "You got quiet again," she said when Ethan stayed silent a little too long. "I'm thinking." "About what?" "About how to do this right." "Do what right?" And that was when the waiter appeared with the main dishes. "Lobster risotto for the lady." He placed the plate in front of Harper carefully. "And for the gentleman." The waiter turned and tripped on his own foot. The plate flew, the risotto flew. And Ethan Ward, billionaire CEO, heir to one of the biggest hotel chains in the country, ended up covered in mushroom risotto from head to shoulders. The silence in the restaurant was absolute. A mushroom slowly slid down Ethan's forehead. The waiter turned pale. "Sir, I am so sorry." "It's all right," Ethan said calmly. "I'll get towels. It's all right, really. Go." The waiter ran. Harper tried to hold it in. She really tried. But the laughter escaped. First soft, then louder. Then she was laughing so much tears were running down her face. "Karma," she choked. "For the latter, probably." Ethan picked a mushroom off his shoulder. "There's parmesan on your ear." Ethan sighed and removed the cheese. "Harper?" "Yes?" "I was going to do this in a much more elegant way." "Do?" Ethan stood up, walked to her side, and knelt. In the middle of the restaurant, covered in risotto, with a piece of mushroom still stuck to his collar. "Ethan." Harper's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "I know this is the first date." He took a small box from his pocket, miraculously clean. "I know it's early. I know any normal person would wait months, maybe years." He opened the box. A ring. Simple. Elegant. A diamond shining in the candlelight. "But I'm not normal, and neither are you." Harper felt her heart stop. "I spent a week on a ladder pretending to be a maintenance technician just to stay close to you. I turned down $3 billion because I couldn't imagine this hotel without you. I know how you solve crises. I know how you treat people. I know you talk to a palm tree as if it were your best friend." His voice trembled. "I don't need more time to know it's you, Harper. I knew from the moment I saw you arguing with Reginald on the first day." Tears were running down Harper's face. "You're asking me to marry you on our first date." "I am." "Covered in risotto." "I am." "With a mushroom on your collar." Ethan looked down, removed the mushroom, and tossed it aside. "Now without the mushroom." Harper laughed. Cried, both at the same time. "You are completely out of your mind." "I know." Ethan held her hand. "Will you marry me?" The entire restaurant was silent, waiters frozen, customers stretching their necks to look. The chef at the kitchen door, dish towel on his shoulder. Harper looked at the man kneeling in front of her, covered in food, smelling like mushrooms, with the most sincere eyes she had ever seen. And she thought about everything. The years doubting herself, the ex-husband who said she wasn't capable, the voices in her head repeating that she wasn't enough. And then she thought about Ethan, the way he looked at her, the way he defended her, the way he saw something in her that she couldn't see herself. Yes, 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 you risotto-covered lunatic. She pulled him by the dirty collar and kissed him. Yes, I'll marry you. The restaurant exploded in applause. The clumsy waiter cried with relief. The chef shouted something in Italian that sounded like a blessing, and Ethan, still on his knees, put the ring on Harper's finger with shaking hands. I love you, he said. I love you too. Harper looked at the ring. But you'll need a shower before you take me home. Fair. She helped him stand, and then, because the universe has a sense of humor, Harper's phone beeped. Message from Eugene. Reginald dropped 4 leaves in a row. He's agitated. I think he knows something. Good luck, whatever is happening. Harper showed the screen to Ethan. The palm tree is a prophet. The palm tree is frightening. Ethan wiped risotto from his sleeve. But apparently it comes with the package. It does. Then I accept it. Harper smiled, and for the first time in her life the future didn't feel scary. It felt perfect. Messy, covered in risotto, and absolutely perfect. 6 months later, Harper Collins was standing in front of the mirror in the bridal suite, trying not to cry before even putting on the dress. And for the first time in her life, the tears weren't from fear. Mom, you need to breathe. Lily's voice came from behind her. Harper turned. Her daughter was there, standing in the doorway, taller than the last time they saw each other, hair longer, smile more mature. 6 months in the Davidson program had turned Lily from a prodigy teenager into a brilliant young woman, but her eyes were the same. The eyes Harper had known since the very first second of her daughter's life. Lily. Harper's voice broke. Lily crossed the room in 3 steps and hugged her mother tightly. I missed you so much, Harper whispered into her daughter's hair. Me too. Lily held her even tighter. But I wouldn't miss this wedding even if I had to swim here. Harper laughed through the tears. From Massachusetts to New York? I would find a way. They separated but stayed holding hands. You look beautiful, Lily said, glancing at the dress hanging behind her mother. Even before putting it on. I'm terrified. I know. Lily smiled. But this time it's different, isn't it? Harper thought for a moment. Yes, it was different. 6 months ago, she could barely believe she deserved a dinner. Now she was about to marry a man who had seen her at the worst moment of her life and decided that was exactly where he wanted to be. It's different, Harper confirmed. It's very different. 1 hour later, the lobby of the Ward Skyline Hotel was unrecognizable. White flowers everywhere, chairs arranged in a semicircle, an arch of roses where the reception desk usually was, and right in the center of everything, next to the improvised altar, stood Reginald. The palm tree had been decorated with small white lights and a banner that said, Honor Groomsman. Who put that there? The officiant. A justice of the peace who looked slightly confused, asked, pointing at the plant. It was a team decision, Eugene explained, adjusting his bow tie. Reginald is part of the family. Reginald is a plant. Reginald is an institution. The judge decided not to argue. The guests began to take their seats. Staff members filled the front rows, housekeepers, bellhops, receptionists, the restaurant chef already holding a handkerchief in case he started crying. The lady with the purple hat sat in the very first chair, her hat decorated especially for the occasion. Regular guests whom Harper had turned into friends over the years filled the rest of the seats. And in front of everyone, beside the altar, Ethan waited. Dark suit, silver tie, and an expression that mixed absolute nervousness with complete happiness. You're shaking, the best man, a childhood friend of Ethan's, whispered. I know. You're a billionaire CEO. You've faced hostile board meetings. This is scarier. She's a woman who is 5'5". A 5'5" woman who talks to plants and can solve any crisis in under 5 minutes. Ethan smiled. Of course she's scarier. The music started. Everyone turned, and Harper appeared at the lobby entrance. The dress was simple, white lace, classic cut, nothing extravagant, but she was radiant. The kind of radiance that comes from the inside, not from makeup or expensive fabric. Lily walked beside her, holding her mother's arm. Ready? Lily whispered. No, good, let's go. They began walking down the improvised aisle between the chairs. Staff members smiled. The lady with the purple hat was already crying. Eugene blew his nose loudly. And then, right when Harper walked past Reginald, plop. A huge dark green leaf spun through the air and landed directly on the bride's head. The entire lobby held its breath. Harper stopped, looked up. The palm tree gently rustled its leaves. Really, Reginald? Harper took the leaf out of her hair. On my wedding day? Today? The plant didn't respond, but another leaf came loose and landed on Lily's shoulder. I think he wants to participate, Lily laughed. He wants attention, as always. Harper tucked the leaf into her bouquet, because at this point, why not? And kept walking. The lobby burst into laughter and applause, and when Harper finally reached the altar, Ethan was smiling so openly he looked a different person. You put a leaf in your bouquet, he whispered. Reginald insisted. Of course he did. The officiant cleared his throat. We are gathered here today. The ceremony was short and sweet. Vows exchanged. Rings placed. Tears shed, mostly by Eugene, who spent half the time blowing his nose and the other half mumbling. I knew it, I always knew. But before the final kiss, Lily asked to speak. I know this isn't traditional, she said, standing from the front row, but I have something to say. Harper frowned. Lily, you don't have to. I do. Lily walked up to the altar and turned to the guests. Most of you know me as the prodigy girl, the kid who gave advice in the lobby, the genius daughter of Harper. She took a deep breath. But for a long time, I let my mother believe she was just the mother of the genius kid, that the intelligence was mine, that she only functioned because I was around. Harper felt her eyes burn, and that was the biggest injustice I could have done. Lily turned to her mother. Mom, I'm not a genius by accident. I didn't wake up one day knowing how to solve problems, analyze situations, and understand people. Her voice trembled. I learned by watching you every day of my life. A tear rolled down Harper's face. I saw you turn furious guests into loyal customers. I saw you help staff you barely knew. I saw you solve impossible crises with calm, empathy, and creativity. Lily held her mother's hands. I'm only a genius because I grew up watching you. The lobby fell silent, and then slowly, the applause began. First Eugene, then the housekeeper, then the chef, then everyone. Harper hugged her daughter tightly, crying openly now, not caring about makeup or the dress or anything. I love you, she whispered. I love you too, Mom. Lily stepped back, smiling. Now hurry up and get married, because I want cake. The lobby laughed. Harper turned to Ethan, wiping her tears. He held her hands. Do you believe in yourself as much as I do now? He asked softly. Harper looked around. At the hotel she helped build. At the employees she had saved more times than she could count. At the daughter she raised alone who had become an extraordinary person. At the man who saw her at her lowest and chose to stay. And at the palm tree in the corner, decorated with little lights, rustling gently as if applauding. I'm starting to, she said. Ethan smiled. Good, because I'm going to remind you every day for the rest of our lives. Promise? Promise. The officiant cleared his throat one last time. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Ethan kissed Harper. The lobby exploded in applause, whistles, and at least 3 people shouting, Finally! Not wanting to be left out, Reginald dropped another leaf. This time, it landed on the head of the officiant. This plant is possessed, the man muttered, pulling the leaf out of his hair. No. Harper laughed, looking at her husband, her daughter, and the improvised family she had built over the years. She just likes to have the last word. And as the celebration began, as champagne was served and the pianist played something cheerful, Harper Collins Ward, receptionist, quiet genius, wife, mother, and apparently best friend of a palm tree, finally understood something. She had never been just the genius girl's mother. She had always been the original genius. It only took 32 years, a CEO in disguise, and a dramatic plant for her to finally believe it. And that's how the story of Harper Collins Ward ends. The receptionist who talked to plants, solved impossible crises before breakfast, and spent 32 years without realizing she was a genius. Now I want to hear from you. What did you think of Reginald, the most dramatic palm tree in hotel history? Leave your thoughts in the comments. On a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this story? And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to receive more emotional stories like this one. See you in the next.